I don't outsource. I just hire smart people who happen to live in other countries. I like the Philippines for anything that's transactionally accounting. So bookkeepers, AR, AP, or kind of like data entry type stuff. I like South America, specifically Argentina and Colombia, for kind of project manager, customer facing stuff. I don't mind. I like South Asia. So Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, India for coding. They're a little bit less. Was a pen guy, then I joined the Foreign Service. So lived and worked abroad for most of my adult career. I've lived in South America, North Africa, and the Middle East. Got out of the government and started, because I have a high pain tolerance, started buying small businesses. I don't know why. Seemed like a good idea. But started buying small businesses, hard to run stuff, and was pretty successful doing that, but took decades off my life, just given how challenging it can be from time to time to be running and growing small businesses, which I'm telling you things that you already know. But one of the biggest tools in my arsenal as I looked at growing and building successfully was this idea of leverage, specifically how Naval Ravikant defines it. Not like debt leverage, but leverage meaning small input, big output. And so got really obsessed with this idea of building leverage into my entrepreneurial journey. And that's include a lot of different stops. So it's included a stop on Twitter, where I now have a very small but extremely affluent audience that I make a lot of money off of. It's also included stops with global talent and hiring people from around the world. It's also included stops in no code specifically, and automation and AI, which are all ways that I can do more work in less time. And so really try to focus on creating powerful leverage, and capital obviously is another type of leverage that I use. But those are all ways to build a business and an asset, not a job. And so I just got really obsessed with building leverage into the way I do acquisitions, the way I grow companies, the way I start companies, and have had a lot of success doing that. So that's probably, for this crowd, becoming a leverage obsessive is probably what is the biggest telltale sign. And there's been a lot of spin outs from that journey.
Nice. So let's double click on the acquisition journey, and then we'll go into the, I'm assuming the outsourcing came first and then the automation, right?
I actually kind of concurrently.
Oh, okay.
And one big thing, Jay, and I'll just get on the record right away, which is one of the big different things that I do is I don't outsource. I just hire smart people who happen to live in other countries directly.
Okay.
So it's not like chuck it over the wall to the Philippines or to a dev shop. It's like, that's just Jay. He lives in South Africa. I'm not outsourcing. That's just Jay. So I'm not the language police, but I always think of it, outsourcing is kind of like, oh, it's a BPO. They do our Ruby, whatever. And I'm like, no, I just hire smart people who happen to live in other countries.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So you want to double click
just hire overseas or hire,
yeah, correct. Just hire globally.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
got
it.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. So tell us a little bit about the acquisitions. When you went from working for the government to acquisitions, what kind of businesses did you buy, lesson learned, and then what did you graduate to essentially when you learned your lessons?
Yep. So I bought a couple companies in Florida, mostly in the automotive sector. I had a business partner who knew it pretty well, and was able to use kind of some foreign direct investment money as my financing source, which was good. And we could have a whole conversation about that, ways to tap foreign capital. But they were really hard businesses, just in terms of employee theft and skilled labor and stuff like that. So those ran it about even, and then we eventually got rid of them. And then we bought a home improvement company, which I actually ran myself. And we grew it from a couple $100,000 in annual sales to about $5 million in annual sales within almost 30 months, maybe less than that. And it was very hard and, knife fight in a phone booth stuff, which we can talk about if anybody needs to know that. But just in terms of working capital management and all sorts of fun things that we all learned growing that fast. But what I did as a result of that was ended up selling that company, but was essentially and I'm actually in the process. I'll probably sell this company soon too, but I still currently own it. It's called Organized Garage, which is business licensing, uh, a business licensing concept where we take all of the best practices from how we run that business and we sell it. But it's like an unbranded franchise is a way to think about it. And that is a much more scalable business than installing epoxy floors all around Southern California, because of, no marginal cost of replication and certain attributes. But
Yeah. So the business was the garage business, so epoxy flooring for garages. Is that what it is?
it was garage upgrade business. So it was why I bought it was because I saw how inexpensive the digital marketing environment was, because not very sophisticated people. And so we plowed money into digital marketing, which nobody else was doing, built an outside sales force. And then it was a fairly straightforward installation process, but our average sale is about 10 grand at 55% gross margins. So you can hammer like that. And it's not very construction-y. It's much more product-y, which also makes it easier to grow fast.
And then you said you started selling unbranded franchises. So just the business in the box without the branding.
Yep. So not to get into franchise law, but there's 3 pillars of franchise, right? But one of them is co-branding of products or the offering itself. But what we did was we stripped out all the branding. They can't even mention that they're affiliated with us, but I can still give you, here's my list of Google PPC that scores. Here's how you find a subcontractor. Here's how you design a workflow to get a crew on site on time, right? So we basically put all that in a package and sell that.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
And so how many units do you have so far?
About 35.
Okay. And then that's the business that you're selling?
Yeah, I'm probably gonna sell it now because my other business is growing so fast. But yeah, they pay us 20 grand up front and 5% of revenue for life. So it's a great business. Yeah.
That's awesome. And then you still own that, you're trying to sell that, and then you transition, or you built the global hiring, global concierge service for recruiting, I guess. Is that what you call it?
Yeah. So in my Southern California business, I'm sure like everyone here, I had some challenges with my W-2s. Just entry-level white-collar labor in Southern California is a battle with, in the trades especially, substance abuse and just rough. And so we eventually got to the point where you were either a W-2 installer, you were a 1099 sales guy, or you were global, meaning we had nobody else in California. Answering the phones, doing purchasing, doing bookkeeping, doing social media video editing, running our PPC campaigns, building landing pages. All of it was global because I just wanted to minimize my California W-2 footprint for my mental health.
Yeah.
So that was just me out of pure stinky desperation. So we put a computer in the warehouse, and our incredible Mexican-American crews would show up at 7 a.m. We'd have somebody on the camera saying, here's your job for today, Jay. I'm hitting print. Please look at it. They'd ask questions, and then they'd go load the truck. And we had GPS in the truck, and our global team would text to say Jay was on his way. And I was like, that's easier than me trying to get a front desk person from California to show up sober every morning at 6:30. And it just was. So we just got really good at that.
Nice. And did you focus on one country and then you branched from there, or you were, all over the place from the beginning?
Because of my background as a, former foreign service officer, I was pretty broadly based. Generally speaking, when most people start with global talent, it's either India or Philippines.
Yeah.
That's just historically where it's, so onlinejobs.ph.
Yeah.
There's probably one in India. It's a little bit more of a developed market, but it has its limitations. Meaning, you're in a home improvement business in California. You don't put somebody with a Filipino accent answering your phone, but somebody with a mild Hispanic accent, they're happy. Yeah. Everybody's bilingual in California, right? So point being is, it's like different musical instruments. Like sometimes I want to listen to the trumpet and sometimes I want to, listen to the trombone. Like in Philippines is really great at some stuff. India is great at some stuff. Argentina is great at some stuff. Ireland's great at some stuff. And so just developing the methodology for global hiring was a big focus for me. So we started in, I think, probably Philippines and some India, just because I have a lot of ties in that part of the world. And then we just grew from there.
Got it. And so what's the framework in hiring global talent?
What do you mean by framework?
Like, how do you think through it in terms of like the type of talent you recruit? What are you looking for? What's the
Um,
thought process?
other than technical roles, pretty much what I've found, and I found this with salespeople and like home improvement or home services, I just look for people who are smart, energetic, and coachable. I don't care about anything else. Like some of the best sales guys I ever hired were bartenders
Hmm.
because they just wanted a shot. They were the best because they were smart. It wasn't like I have 25 years as an in-home sales rep. Those guys have bad habits. They don't use the iPad. They, whatever. Versus I give a 28-year-old guy who's dying to get out of the hospitality industry a shot. That guy hammers. And so I feel the same way, generally speaking, with global talent, which is I just look for the raw ingredient. And I'm like, dude, I'll train you. Just come in smart so that they can pick things up. They use technology. They're smart. They're energetic. So I don't have to say like kick them in the ass to do work. And then they're coachable. So I can give them feedback as they go. And that's pretty much what I believe in hiring, except for like Ruby on Rails developer or financial analyst. I just hired an LBO modeler for a private equity fund. Obviously, that guy needs some actual skills, like
Yeah.
hard skills. A little different though than the person to do your ops coordination at your HVAC company. Right. That
Yeah.
person doesn't need any hard skills. They just need the right attitude. Like, dude, I can teach you Service Titan in about a week. Like, that's not hard. The hard part is good English, coachable, hungry, firecracker under their butt. That's the hard part for me, at least in my experience. So that's how I think about it.
Yeah, that makes sense. And so is there like a shortcut in terms of what countries do you hire what from, or what countries have the best of
Yeah,
specific like
it's
type of
it's
roles?
yeah, it's I would say it's constantly moving. Um, but broadly speaking, in like exceptionally broad brushes, right? There's a million exceptions, but I can tell you how I think about it right now. Um, I like the Philippines for anything that's transactionally accounting. So bookkeepers, AR, AP, or kind of like data entry type stuff. I like South America, specifically Argentina and Colombia, for kind of middle managery, kind of project manager, customer facing stuff. I don't mind. Um, I like South Asia, so Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, India for coding. They're a little bit less expensive than Eastern Europe, which tends to be better, but more expensive depending on your needs. Um, I like chief of staffs out of Canada. I like sales development reps out of Ireland. I like graphic designers out of South Africa. So it's Belize. I like for CSRs, people on the phone because English is the first language in Belize, and minimum wage is $3 an hour.
Nice.
But you might have internet issues there. So it's just like right now, Argentina, you get lights out people because the currency's so weak.
Yeah.
And so you get somebody with 12 years of experience at a big marketing agency for $2,100 a month full time. And they're like good. Like they're
Nice.
not like, me input stuff in CRM,
Yeah.
right? So it's constantly moving, but that's just because their currency's so weak right now. Although it's probably not going to strengthen anytime soon. But
Yeah, you're gonna be Argentina's. It's gonna have a while before it gets.
correct. They're on
Oh,
they're on the road, but for right
yeah,
now, I would hire freaking all of them.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
trying to hire them as
Uh,
many of them as I can.
nice. And are you so? So how did you like? How did you transition from hiring for yourself to hiring for others?
So what happened was I built that company, sold the original unit, was just doing the kind of national thing. And then I got picked up by a lot of franchisors, multi-unit franchisees, and a lot of lower middle market private equity who are like, teach me.
Yeah,
They're like, come help me. Like, my name's Jay. I own 7 massage envies. They all do $4 million each. And I can't get people in Chicago to answer my stinking phone. And I need some help to work my pipeline, to work my CRM, to sell, trick. And I was like, yeah, I can help you. And so I did a bunch of advisory work just because it was fun
yeah.
for like a year and a half, and then just realized that these people needed a little bit more help than that. And so I wanted to kind of take it out of advisory world and actually build a solution that I thought had some real value to it, which is what we've done. So that's how I did it.
And this global team gets bigger, do you create like a local role to manage all these people? And and is there any like type of operating system where you can actually see everyone's activity and all that stuff?
It's a great question. I wrote a newsletter about this about a year ago. One was called I invented a role and you need it yesterday. And it was, do you guys talk about EOS in this group at all?
Yeah.
Okay. So the title I named it was GTI, Global Talent Integrator. And I think of it as your COO, but just for your overseas activities.
Hmm.
And so it's usually somebody who starts as like an assistant, but then you very quickly make them kind of like opsy. And they tend to be the person who can do a lot of the grunt work associated with building a global team, because like Jay sure as shit doesn't want to do like 6 interviews with CSRs,
Yeah.
but he trusts Beth, who's kind of like his right hand overseas COO, not the whole organization COO.
Yeah.
And then Beth does the final interviews, and then you just keep an eye on Beth. And then when it starts to get bigger, then of course you have team leads. But in the beginning, I find that a promoted assistant who's just like, mine's Bincy. She's been with me for 7 years. She's from Kerala. She's an absolute meat eater. I promoted her 47,000 times, and she now has like 45 people that work for her. Not directly, but like in her org.
Yeah.
And she's incredible, but it took us years to build the kind of trust. And now, I just bought her a car as thank you for something she built for us.
Where is she from again? You said
She's from Kerala.
where?
India. She's in India. She's in
India. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So
she lives in UAE. Kerala's a state in India. Yeah.
Got it. So this person is also global.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Got
My whole, we've built an extremely fast growing, somewhat substantial organization. I don't have any W-2s right now.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
So, but
Nice.
we've got 60 people who work for us.
Yeah, and I'll ask about the software piece, about like how you kind of manage these people. But any guys, if you have any questions, please jump in. Good. So tell us a little bit about the software piece.
You mean in terms of like management?
Yeah, managing these people like at a global level. There's a lot of applications that came and gone in terms of like tracking people's activity and making sure that they're like there and they're working and paying them. And
yeah,
so
there's definitely like a couple best practices from technology. It's gotten way easier. So depending on, there's, payments, Wise is good. Deal is very good. Payoneer is very good. Those would be the 3 that I'd look at based on your needs. Some of them are better than others. From a kind of supervision standpoint, we treat these folks as full-on members of our team. So we treat them, they do one-on-ones with their manager. They send weekly. It's not like, what were you doing this minute of this day? They're not worker bees.
Yeah.
They're valued members. My head of marketing, I'm not like, oh, I need to put a time tracker on you.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, send an end of week report. You have OKRs. You have your team. You're expected to do one-on-ones with your direct reports. They're just members of our team that happen to be in Mexico or Jamaica or South Africa, not, oh, you're a second category because you happen to be from another country. That's just not what we believe in, or not what I do. So you're like, no, you're just a member of our team. So whatever you do with your normal remote team, I would say to do with this team.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. And have you found as you've expanded this recruiting business side, have you found that you have to do a little bit more education for entrepreneurs in order for them to kind of understand how to, manage, how to think through global, and how do you, what are some of the challenges that you've seen entrepreneurs have to make to make that a successful process?
So I'll give you the short answer, and then I'll give you a little bit of a longer answer.
Yeah.
So the short answer is our current company is only for people who've hired globally before.
Got it.
So I would call them high knowledge users of global talent, because of some of these dynamics that we're going to talk about. I've written about this. I speak about this a lot, but I imagine everybody here has read the E-Myth, right?
Yeah.
Like E-Myth and EOS and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I believe that systems are what allow you to push things down the labor ladder to earn the right to use a global employee to produce an output. But you have to get serious about systems, or else when you start to delegate things, the quality goes to shit. So I need somebody in California who's $40 an hour if I have no systems and processes, no recipes. But when I write down what a qualified lead is, what a follow-up email looks like, what zip codes we service, I've earned the right to take it off of the $40 an hour person in California and onto the $13 an hour person in Argentina. I've earned the right to do that. And so I constantly think about building systems to earn the right to push things to either global talent or AI and automation, which is a part of this as well. But most business owners, depends on their size, but they cap out because they're like, I'm too busy to build system. It's like, great, have fun with stalled growth. And every time you try to grow, quality is going to go to crap.
Yeah.
And I'm actually a sales guy, but I got obsessed with systems because I saw it was the way to break through $5 million or $10 million in revenue. If you don't get freaking serious about the system, you're going to be pegged to your phone.
Yeah.
Right. So I got very serious about systems. So I think systems are how you earn the right to build a global team and use more AI and automations, but you have to earn the right. And a lot of business owners are like, I don't have time for that. Right. And I got it. Like, I totally get it. But when you wonder like why you're not where you want to be, in my experience, working with a lot of business owners at that kind of like above 1.5 million in revenue, below 10, 15 million, like what's going to take you to the next level is to become a systems fanatic. The systems are the star is the phrase I like. The systems are the star. Like, we are a company that operates a system, not a group of individuals. And it's called the Jon system. And the Jon system does this, and the Jon system does this. And if I get hit by a bus, somebody steps in and they do that, right? It's all EMIT stuff.
Yeah. So now going back to the automation piece. So how did you, I'm assuming it happened all at the same time. You have to have the systems in order for you to hire globally as well as automate.
Yep.
So tell me about the automation piece, because when Paresh, one of our friends here, was very impressed by your presentation there at the SMB batch.
Cool. Yeah. So I think of, and I can show this to you guys.
Sure. Yeah.
I'll just show you what this one slide looks like that'll be useful. And I had this in the presentation. It's a part of a larger presentation, but you guys will get the idea as business owners. Here we go. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen real quick. I know I talk fast, but you guys said you're business owners, so I can go fast. Okay. All right. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
So I believe that my job as a business owner is to make the bottom of this pyramid as fat as possible. The fatter the bottom, the more valuable your company is. The better your service is, the better your margins are, the more scalable you are. So a one-person lawyer only has the top level, right? I'm just the lawyer. Nobody else knows crap. I answer the phone. I check the mail. A SaaS company, which trades at 10 to 20 times revenue, is all bottom. The machines do everything, right? And so when I look at an HVAC company and I come in and help them scale, I go, let's talk about what the owner does. Let's talk about what the people in the office do. Let's talk about what the people globally do. And then let's talk about what the machines do. And our job is through systems is to try to push things downward so that you free up your global talent to do more customer facing stuff. You free up your local talent to install more water heaters per week because they're not doing red copy, blue copy, yellow copy. That's done by global talent. Global talent isn't just uploading data in a spreadsheet. That's done automatically whenever you get a new lead, right? And so I think my job as a business owner to create real enterprise value, profitability, margin is to build the systems that let me push things downwards. And not everything is going to push downwards. So when I get sued, being a business owner in California, I get sued all the time. When I get sued, that always will go to me, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm never going to push that down the pyramid, right?
Yeah.
When somebody gets in an accident, I'm the one who gets that phone call, right? But you want to take as much as you can off Curtis's plate. Think of Curtis as Gordon Ramsay. Gordon Ramsay does not wash the pots and pans. Yeah. Gordon Ramsay doesn't. What's he do? He develops the recipe. He tastes it. He yells at the cook who undercooked the hamburger, right? But he's standing there conducting and doing the high level shit, not peeling the potatoes at 3 a.m. And a lot of business owners peel potatoes at 3 a.m. Yeah. And so AI and global talent is a piece of having a machine that produces good meals, not Curtis peeling potatoes at 3 a.m. So this is my obsession, is building leverage in companies, this is how you do it.
So can you describe one of those setups
Sure.
or some of the, yeah.
Yeah. So I'll give a specific example. So
Yeah.
when I first started buying businesses, by Dirk, um, when I first started buying businesses, if I wanted to write a memo to my team, I wrote it. I just sat there and wrote it. Then I built a company and I got a front desk guy. And I would say, hey, come into my office, Mr. $29 an hour California front desk person. I want to write a memo to my team about our dress code. Okay. Then I realized that I could hire somebody from Kenya who's awesome, who's $6 an hour. And so I would send her a WhatsApp message and go, hey, can you turn this into an email? I really think I want to do black collared shirts with the logo on the front, whatever. Magically, 60 minutes later, I had a memo in my inbox. Now, because of the power of AI and automation, I don't have to use a human anymore. I just do a voice note, I upload it, run a couple automations, and I get a formatted Google Doc emailed to me with whatever I just dictated, and it's well organized, it's all bolded. And so that's an example of one thing, which is writing a memo that starts in a very low leverage way, which is, you know, I'm sitting there going like this for 45 minutes going, fuck, how the fuck do you spell that? Right. And then over time, I build more leverage. And now instead of sitting there for an hour trying to write a dress code policy, I'm in the jacuzzi with a voice note going, hey, by the way, we're doing a new dress code thing, blah, 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 and uploaded. And now when I come into the office the next morning, I've got a draft email to my team. So that's an example specifically of how you could do it.
Nice.
Yeah. There's a lot there. But I'm going
these days. I'm trying to integrate ChatGPT with Gmail and just do that directly, where it just tells it to write an email and then send it to all the whole team.
Yeah,
Which
there's a lot of different ways you can do it. Yeah, there's a lot of different ways you can do it. I find for something like that, I like to look, particularly with emails, I like to look at them before I let them out the door. So I would have it just feed my draft emails folder, and then I go into my draft emails and I make a couple tweaks, and then I send it. That's what I would do.
Sense. Yeah,
like a little quality control. Don't just have it go straight out the door, because sometimes AI says dumb stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what other kind of integrations have you found that were super productive in terms of in the home service environment?
Sure. So I'll give you an example of one that I do all the time that I helped a guy build, which is everybody here using soft phones in their home service business?
Yeah.
Yeah, like AirCall or Dial Pad or
RL.
like internet-based calling.
Yeah.
Right. I would export.
Which one is your favorite, by the way? I'm in the process of picking, and I was looking at
AirCall, unless you're doing like mass dialing, like 200 outbounds a day. But AirCall is the one that we've always liked the most. It plays really nice. But yeah, AirCall. Open Phone also gets a lot of good reviews from folks in our group. Open Phone or AirCall. But as an example, we had a guy who's like, I know I'm missing phone calls. I don't know what's up. He downloaded all of his call transactions from his soft phone. Very easy to do. He uploaded that into premium ChatGPT. It's $20 a month. And then it said, please create a heat map of when we're missing calls. And he could see exactly when he missed calls. He uploaded this huge, ugly spreadsheet, and he got back this red, green, and yellow about where he was missing most of his calls. And he's like, we need to add a CSR on Thursday and Friday afternoons between 4 and 10 p.m. It's like a little baby data analyst. And he was able to know exactly, instead of having to guess, oh, I think we're missing calls. It literally said, do an analysis for me about where I should add a CSR. And it spit out, it looked at all of when the missed calls were. And we're like, it looks like you're missing them right here. So this is the shift your CSR should work. So that's using it for like little baby data analysis. I do it with sales reps, who's closing, what is their gross margin per sale, and feed it all into the machine. And then it can help me do like little baby analysis. I like doing that too.
And the closing data, you essentially pull that from your CRM, and then you just
CRM.
Got it.
CRM, and you just get the good clean data in like a CSV file.
Yeah.
And then you just go, let me know percentage close rate and average ticket sale per sales rep. Create a chart. Usually takes you a couple times to get it right, but by the time you have it, you're like, oh man, Hisham is not a good sales rep or whatever it is, right? You can literally, and you can do it week by week. Every Friday, you have your admin run that analysis and send you a report, and you're like, hey, Jay, what happened? You only closed 21% this week at a 50% lower ticket sale than historicals.
Yeah.
Right. So I love doing stuff like that.
Nice. Have you found anybody integrating ChatGPT into their whole ecosystem through CRM?
Yeah, there definitely are some ways, specifically with automations. So does everybody here know like Zapier and Make?
Zapier, Make,
Yeah.
yeah.
Make
Yeah,
and
it's very
Zapier.
similar.
Or it
Yeah,
used to be called Integramat.
yeah,
But that's generally speaking the way that I've seen most home services businesses, which is it's not native to the CRM platform,
yeah.
but you would do things like every time a deal moves into like I'll give you an automation we built in our company. Every time a deal moves into the proposal presented stage, I want you to add it to a text message campaign asking them to review the service. And, and then construct the messages using AI based on what their original quote was about, which is also in CRM. And then it can custom send a message going, hey, I know you needed a new epoxy floor. And it would check in on the epoxy floor quote, not just some not personalized standard message. But we would do that all with AI and automation. That'd be an example.
Oh, so just to check on the quote.
Yeah.
Got
Or to get reviews and referrals.
Got it. Got
Hey,
it.
did you
Yeah,
get a
and
5-star
that's
service? Not
that's through
in our
Service
house.
Titan.
Say again.
That's what's integrating through Service Titan.
Yep. I would integrate through Service Titan, and then I would have somebody globally, my CSR, monitoring the responses. So whenever anybody responds to one of those text messages, they get a person right away.
Yeah.
Awesome. So great. Yeah, we'd love to meet your bill, Bobby. Have I told you about our referral program? And they're just sitting in there hammering text message. Not like this, it's on the computer, but
Yeah.
this is the text and universal text message symbol.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how it would go.
So as you mix those two, the automation and the global workforce, what are some of the kind of the trends that you're seeing that are, especially now with the way the environment is in economically right now? What are some of the trends that you're seeing are coming up in the space?
The biggest trend that I'm seeing right now is that if you make less than 100,000 US per year as a white collar worker in the US and your job can be done remotely, there's the train is coming.
Oh.
Because you've got somebody with 14 years and a master's degree in Colombia who's $1,400 a month full time, and they're my staff accountant. And they're $1,400 a month. They have 12 years of experience. They're so happy you pay them $1,200 a month. They're committed to your team. You fly them up to your office. They're a member of they're just they're not some crappy, they're like, no, that's just Steve from Tunisia or whatever it is. And they're hungry and they're motivated and they're so excited and they're incredibly confident. So if I was counseling somebody who's a bookkeeper who makes $68,000 a year, I'd say, let's talk about getting you some more skills so that you can stay in the workforce, because I don't think there's a long-term future here, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So seeing now that we're, in the SMB M&A space, what are some of the verticals that you see that are prime for this level of optimization?
I'll tell you two things about SMB SMA. The first is I've worked with a lot of lower middle market PE companies to help them build a off-market deal sourcing engine using entirely global talent.
Nice.
Right? To get deal flow, to get off-market deal flow, right? Like I was threatening to do this with AI. I haven't built it yet, but I really wanted to create a tool that analyzes business listings and looks for typos or real estate brokers listings, because those are always soft targets for M&A. If it's a real estate broker or there's typos in the listing, I'm like, 80% of the time, it just means it's a crappy listing, but 20% of the time, it means you got a soft broker.
Yeah.
And I was like, I would love to be fed those deals because I could focus on those instead of the overpriced SaaS deal or whatever.
Yeah.
Which I look at plenty of. So once you start to learn this tool, you can use it all over. But in terms of services, I think when you're looking at SMB M&A, there's about a 10-year period, and I've already built companies that do this, which is people will pay you human prices for AI and global talent outputs. Meaning right now,
it's a window.
Because they don't know that Matt right now is getting charged $3,000 a month from his email marketing company to write marketing emails to his old database of leads. If you know how to use global talent and AI, the cogs on that is about $3. But right now there's all these sectors where they haven't kind of like integrated the method yet. And so there's a ton of money to be made because Matt's going, ooh, like $2,000 for marketing emails sounds good because that's what it's been forever. But there's some marketing guy going, man, that was AI and a global talent editor, and it cost me about $5, and I just charged Matt $3,000.
Yeah.
And so I've built companies like this that have margins like that because business owners don't know the difference yet, especially the older guys.
Yeah. How about in the blue collar home services space?
So my favorite way, as a guy who did this very effectively, and a lot of private equity guys are doing this right now, which is if you look at why HVAC companies don't grow, there's a couple reasons. Does anybody here own an HVAC company?
No.
Okay. Generally speaking, it's a lack of skilled techs, right? It's just like, I don't have enough guys who know how to replace water heaters. And when I go to them, I'm like, okay, of your dollar of payroll, what percentage of that actually goes to your HVAC techs? And they're like, half. The other half goes to non-HVAC techs. And I go, okay. And if instead of paying $39 an hour, you were able to pay $49 an hour to your HVAC techs, do you think that would solve your problem? And they're like, yeah, I would do that, but it would kill my margins. And I go, you know where you find that $10? On the person answering your phone, or the person doing your bookkeeping, or the marketing vendor. And then you take that savings and you plow it into your veterinarian, your HVAC guy, whoever the hard person in your business is to get. You overpay them versus your competitors, and you steal them.
Yeah.
You put more money in the hands of the guy cranking the wrench and less money in the person making Instagram for you, because the Instagram can be done anywhere. The freaking replacing the water heater. So I own auto shops. You get more money in the hands of the mechanics. You just pay them $5 an hour more. Magically, you don't have a mechanic problem anymore. And you don't have to raise your prices. And that's the other thing. You don't have to raise your prices. So you can still keep, and your competitors are going to go, how the hell are they paying techs $50 an hour and still keeping this pricing? They must not be making any money. They don't realize that you're not paying $30 an hour to answer your phone. You're paying $10. And so it's just a more efficient operating model. So in offline businesses, you want to create leverage in the other parts of your payroll, so I've done this for massage therapists, mechanics, veterinarians, HVAC guys, plumbers, real skilled commercial arborists, tree trimming businesses, where their whole business is limited by how much they can pay the guy actually doing the work, not the girl editing videos for Instagram. Right.
One of the things, speaking about that, one of the things that I found is that also the businesses that say that they need the talent, when you ask them, show me your talent acquisition funnel, they have none. Or show me your infrastructure, who's recruiting in your team, they have none. So allocating a few dollars to that role within the company, and that could be a global role as well. And I mean, I think of it as a sales role.
Oh, it is.
So
speed the lead for recruiting, we'll hire you somebody who just sits in Indeed, and just like a sales funnel, it's speed the lead. Somebody applies, they get a text message from a human right away. That will help you get more HVAC technicians. Not just like getting back to them 6 days later or with like one phone call and leaving a message. Right. So it's like a professionalization, but that's how you grow some of these companies. You got to get really good at this stuff. Or
even building a list of all the existing talent that's out there and then just calling them.
Just heads up. We're now paying $49 an hour for entry level mechanics. They'll take that call. Right. So I think of it as, with my background in the government, I think of everything as competitive, right? Like, how do I get in my competition's face and just beat them? And to me, when you start doing stuff like this, you get better at using global talent and AI. You can beat your competitors and take their employees and pay them more and do right by your customers. So that's all I think about is getting in my competition's face, right? How the hell are they paying that much? That's how I started on this journey. It's like competitive stuff.
So in terms of like, when you go into that talent acquisition piece, what strategies have you found to, kind of to acquire, aside from paying more? What other strategies have you found to acquire, but also retain talent?
You talking local or global?
Local, the technicians, the value created, if you will.
Paying well, obviously.
Yeah.
That's nothing specific there. In terms of acquiring it, I would say I've had a lot of good luck writing job ads like sales copy,
Okay.
not like corporate speak. So the best way we found our salespeople, or we wrote it like a sales letter. We went, you know, what do we sell? Don't worry about it. We're a fast growing company who wants to put a lot of money in the hand of our sales reps with a supportive management team. You want to know what we're selling? It doesn't matter. Like, and we found that we found the right kind of guys who click on that ad and they're like, dude, instead of like, we value teamwork and excellence in everything we do. And then you don't get, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I found writing it like sales copy.
Yeah.
Like, do you like, you know, like writing it like sales copy, you get
Yeah.
the right kinds of people we found.
Yeah.
So that would be my tip for recruiting people is don't just do like boring corporate speak. Like no, like you can even use AI for it, but like write like sales copy,
Yeah.
you know? In terms of retaining them, I mean, that's just good leadership stuff, right? Like clear expectations, you know, be fair, do one-on-ones, you know, don't be a, you know, servant leadership stuff, right? Or whatever you want to say. Like my job's to support you all do the real work. Let me know how I can help. You need resources, you need commander's intent, you need priorities, come to me, everything else, you're the man. Like, let me know how I can help. Like and that makes people feel very appreciated and supported and not micromanaged. So that's just good classic leadership stuff, nothing fancy.
Yeah. No, I think like you said, when you reduce your overhead within, you know, domestically, and then you have the ability to allocate that, you know, capital toward, you know, getting more talent overseas or building more systems or toward the team itself, I think you increase the retention, you increase the, you know, your ability to attract more talent within the crew. And that's, I think, at the core of the biggest challenge that we have right now with, you know, with all these businesses is, you know, the talent war, if you will.
I think Jay, that for me, I started hiring globally, not to save money. It was so I could finally start building the company that I always wanted, because I could afford to have a staff accountant so that I could do more complex commissions, because like I could finally, and then I could reinvest. Like I could finally, it wasn't like, oh, let's save a couple bucks. It was like, I want to answer our phones because we have clients and I'm not consistently answering the phone right now because this is the 7th thing on that person's plate. So it let me build the company I wanted instead of me just like swimming full speed to stay in place, which is what it feels like running a small business. I don't know what sizes the people's companies are, but in that $1 million to $10 million range, right? It's, you know, you've got enough, but you're swimming at full speed to stay in place. I mean, that feeling is my friend.
Yeah.
You know, we're best friends. I'm extremely, so I didn't do it to save money. I did it so I could finally have my freaking phone answered.
Yeah.
I could finally start making Instagram content. Like I want to do it for stinking years and I could never do it. And then I'm like, oh, I can finally build the company that I want. Instead of just like, oh God, this guy wants how much? God, he's not that good. Like, which is what, you know, like plug your nose and hire the guy, which is what I had to do in Southern California.
Yeah. So going back to the fundraising piece, so, or the capital element. So tell us a little bit about. I want to go back to that. You mentioned the global finding capital overseas, and then how that played out in that story.
Yeah. So I'll tell that, and then I want to open it up for questions because I've been
Yeah. I mean, I'm the guys knows you can jump in anytime.
Yeah, the foreign direct investment stuff. When I got out of the government, I was raising foreign direct investment. And the easiest way to do it is you attach it to an immigration benefit. And there are certain programs out there. So specifically the E2 visa program for the kinds of businesses you guys run. There's also something called EB5. There's a couple L1s depending on the specifics, but you attach a non-financial benefit and people will take non-financial terms to provide capital to buy things because they just need to meet requirements. I need to put $100,000 in and it gets me an E2 visa, but I don't want to run the business myself. Yeah. And if you hook up with an immigration attorney, they're constantly looking for places to put this kind of immigration money And it's a really straightforward way to get capital for projects.
And what does that structure look like?
It depends on which of those categories you're talking about, but
Yeah.
I mean, you could get, when I was raising this money, I didn't really know what I was doing small business wise, honestly. But if I was to do it again, I would do things like, it would be things like different categories of shares with different governance. So they own majority, but I can always buy it back. And like, I would do different things that were kind of a little bit more clever than I think how it historically is done.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can, I do things like, oh, you own the whole thing. You pay me a management fee, but I have the option at this strike price to buy you out. And now I've got risk-free money to go acquire a tuck-in. And these people are, because they're getting a non-financial benefit, which is immigration status, you don't have to give them, hey, just make it preferred equity and we'll pay you when we pay you. And they're happy with that. They're not fighting for that. So I think by attaching a non-financial benefit to it, America wins because we get injected, low cost capital. We get, affluent immigrants, and businesses succeed because they get growth capital. So
and then the structure is different because of the different types of visas or
correct.
So that's where some of them have to have a certain amount of ownership. Some of them have to have all of the whole ownership, all of it.
If you're looking for low cost sources of capital, it's going to be a little bit of a butt pain.
Yeah.
But if you look up your local immigration attorney and it might not be there's different categories of immigration attorney, right?
Sure.
But if you find an immigration attorney who does do kind of like, there's like $1 billion sitting in India that is dying to get put in US businesses for an immigration benefit. And so if you learn the way to kind of like do it right, you'll get not free money, but like
almost,
you know what I mean? It's like some of these government programs where you have to do certain things to qualify for, like, oh, it's an HSA loan, and I just got to make sure that I, depreciate. It's like the same thing. It's like getting government money. It's the same thing, which is if you learn how to do it, once you've learned how to do it, game on. But you got to learn how to do it, right? There's some tricks to it. So immigration attorney
we have a friend in our tribe who actually bought one of those companies that facilitates those the visas and stuff. So they're
for real estate. Yeah,
he does it for real estate.
But
it's
higher than in Europe. In Europe, you could get the golden visa for cheap, right? Like, I mean, you have like 300 grand, sometimes as low as 100 grand. In the US, I think it's at least 800 grand to $1 million, and it's so tedious. It's a long 5-7 years of.
It depends. It changes. It depends on the country. That's EB-5 to get the green card, but the E2, which is not a green card, but you can extend it indefinitely, can be and you can live full time in the US, work, all that stuff, is as little as about 100 grand. So I would look up the E2 visa. Only certain countries are eligible for it.
Very cool. Oh, nice.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you're talking about EB-5, Hisham, which you're right. But that does have a path to citizenship. The E2 does not. Yeah.
Got it. In terms of Twitter and building an audience in Twitter, tell us about your framework there.
Sure. It's leverage, right? So has everybody here read Naval Ravikant's How to Get Rich Without Getting Lucky?
No.
If you haven't, it's a thread. It's worth Googling and reading.
Okay. I think I've heard them talk about it, like on a podcast, but I didn't really read it.
So he says, and I agree with him, I'm obsessed with this. The key to getting wealthy in the modern economy is you become an expert in one of 4 forms of leverage. Okay. There's 2 old school forms of leverage and 2 new school forms of leverage. Okay. The old school forms of leverage are capital and labor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I use my capital. I don't work that hard. I just write a big check and it becomes more. Labor, I have other people do the work. Okay. Those are that's how the Rockefellers made their money. Okay. But you master one of those forms of leverage, capital allocation or using labor, you can build fabulous wealth. Okay. And now there are 2 forms of new school leverage, modern leverage. These are also called permissionless leverage. You don't have to ask anybody's opinion on how to do it. The first is code. I can create a software program for commercial landscapers. I build it once and it can pay me for the next 50 years with no butt pain out of my butt, right? So everybody loves software, okay? So code is a form of modern leverage. And the second is media. I can make one tweet, and if one person or 20 million people read it, it cost me just as much time to tweet. And so by getting obsessed with these forms of leverage, you can create huge economic outcomes without you working 5,000 hours a week. You have to get really good at those 4 forms, though, or one of them, or multiple, ideally both of them. So Twitter for me means I launched is this being recorded?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, just for our group.
Okay, I think it's public, but 120 days ago, I think I've mentioned this before, 120 days ago, we launched this recruitment membership thing just off of my Twitter. That's it. No Facebook, no salespeople, nothing. We're over $1.2 million in annual recurrent revenue at exceptionally good margins.
Nice.
Just off my Twitter. Because I've been writing on Twitter, building an audience. It's how Jay found me. It's how I get, it's how I get invited to speak at conferences is they read my stuff I wrote years ago. And they go, ooh, Jon's smart. I want to hire him as an advisor. I want to put him on my board. I want to give him capital. I want to become a customer of his. And so that's me becoming obsessed with media leverage. Me saying, if I just take this channel seriously, my blog, my podcast, my YouTube channel, my Twitter, my newsletter, whatever it is, doesn't matter if 20 billion people read it, you had to spend the same amount of time creating it.
Yeah.
And that means that you can have huge outcomes, right? There's some guy on TikTok right now. Since we're all in home services, I don't know if anybody's seen him. He's on YouTube and TikTok. He drains septic tanks and he wears a GoPro and he shows up at people's houses and he opens the lid. And his tagline is every time he opens the septic tank lid, he says, smells like money. And he gets millions of views on these and he never has to look for a customer again.
Yeah.
Ever. Because he's just a freaking funny dude on TikTok, literally going like, let's make a poop smoothie. And he's like breaking up and he's literally sucking. And people watch this stuff and he's booked out for like 6 months. And so I think understanding media is a huge advantage, even to home. We put GoPros on our installers. So they would go to a job site and they'd have a video camera on them. And then we'd take that and turn it into content to find customers. We put it on Instagram. Hey, watch one of our installers do a whole install. It was freaking great. And the crews loved it. They just wore a little GoPro. But like, we're all in the content business, whether you like it or not. You got to find your customers. And so media and my Twitter is me being serious, particularly for B2B, how to do it. Depending on your product, if you're in something that's visual, like power washing, if you're not shooting video of your power washing, you're nuts. You're nuts. It looks so good on video.
Yeah.
It's like, this is ugly. This is clean. Click the link below if you want this too. Like it's the easiest pitch in the world.
Yeah.
Right? Don't give your money to Facebook and buy ads. Just make content.
Yeah.
So
no, it's true.
Yeah.
So in terms of, Twitter, did you started right away targeting that B2B audience or it just became an evolution?
It was just me because I like writing. And then eventually I realized, oh my God, there's really smart people on here. I mean, like, I never have to raise capital again because people have read my stuff over the years and they're like, I know him and I trust him. I'm a known quantity to them now.
Yeah.
Which is incredible. I mean, for little piddly diddly Twitter, that's insane. You know how hard I had to work to raise my first dollar to buy my first business? Like, I bled out of my eyeballs, right? I'm sure like all of you, like the freaking hard money loan, like you name it, I've done it. I started my first business on a credit card. And now because I poke on my phone every now and then, people will write me equity checks. That's crazy to me. That's crazy. I mean, like this, nuts. You know how hard I work to raise money? And now people are like, hey, do you have anything you need? I'm like, no, but it's a scam. And it's like some real guy.
So what is do you have like a funnel that you go through as Twitter and then a newsletter and then go into CRM then?
Yeah. So for me, it's just Twitter to my newsletter. And then I just keep them in my newsletter. And then within my newsletter, I have the option, because they joined to read me. It wasn't like to learn, Tuscaloosa Weekly or something. It was just Jon. So I can do whatever I want with that audience once they're in my newsletter. Hey, I'm rolling out an ebook. Great. I put it in an email. Hey, I'm launching I'm franchising. Great.
Yeah.
Put it in my newsletter. Hey, I'm doing a Zoom. I'm starting a mastermind. Okay. Put it in my newsletter, right? I own that audience now. They're mine. So thanks, Matt.
Hisham, you had a question?
No, sorry, I was doing something. So
Cool. Well, and anyone has any final thoughts, questions?
I just talked nonstop for 6
No, this is great. That was perfect.
Awesome. Really I have a question. I was going fast, man.
all right, quick question, just on the you mentioned like you're heavy user of it or AI and machines. So any apps out there, any AI apps that you find good, like for, I don't know, video content, some or whatever that you use?
For videos specifically, I'm like
No. Anything that you use the most?
I think of AI right now as Lego blocks. There's nothing that creates Tyrannosauruses. I have to make the T-Rex, but AI is really good at the blocks. Meaning, I'm not seeing solutions with AI right now. I'm seeing really good things at making Lego blocks, and then I can make the T-Rex out of it. So, Claude, ChatGPT, Make, Midjourney, just like the basics. They're like the primary colors, and then you can mix them and make gorgeous art. Picasso, but nobody's selling Picassos right now, in my experience.
Yeah,
You gotta
it's gonna do a while before that happens for sure.
Yeah, because it's all these dweebs sitting in a WeWork being like, I can answer your phones with AI, and you're like, son, and they don't do shit. They overpromise and underdeliver. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not letting you answer my phone. Like, get out of here. Like, don't waste my time. Right.
Yeah.
So that's been my experience.
Glennon, you had a question?
Glennon, you're gonna ask a question?
Yeah. Hey, Jon, I got tons of notes here. And I love your energy. I see that you heavily leverage your, labor force, on a global talent level. I'm in California too. I have about 50 employees and it's a pain in the ass.
What kind of business?
Property inspection and pest control.
Cool.
Yeah. My question is, I see you have a COO or global talent organizer. Is that the person who recruits and manages all your global talent? And where do they recruit through an agency here? Or do they go directly to the source in these other countries?
Great question, Glennon. So I can give you, since it's the end, are we okay to go like a couple minutes over?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
So the company that I built, the one that's growing really quickly, solves this problem, which is, we call it Costco for global talent, because I'm obsessed with Costco. And so historically, there were only two ways to get help with global talent. The first was a staffing agency. I find somebody for $6 and I bill them to Glennon for $13 and try to middleman it. I didn't like that. I thought that was dumb. The second way is people do headhunting, which is you give me a requirement and I go find you somebody, and then I charge you 35% of year one salary to give that person to you, Glennon. And then you get to hire them directly. And I didn't like either of those. So what we do is it's a flat membership for the year. And then we will go out and find those people for you. I have about 45 recruiters on staff. And then you get to hire them directly. They become long-term members of your team. We don't middleman them. They're just, hey, I need 3 CSRs. Sure. I need a video editor. Sure. You just fill out a form and we go get them for you. So that's what we do. Is we're like Costco, which is we make you join an annual membership, and then everything else we do is very low or no cost. So that's how we do it, because I saw that there was no option that I, as a business owner, wanted. So I built it. Thanks to Sean. So that's how we do it, Glennon. In the beginning,
cool.
If you want to DIY, onlinejobs.ph. If you want to DIY, you're going to get like 300 applicants, and you just got to kiss a lot of frogs to find a prince. Upwork, I've spent like $1 million on stinking Upwork. But if you want to throw some money at the problem, our basic tier is $1,000 a month, and then we can help you hire. I mean, we've hired like 1,000+ people. So like LBO modelers, CSRs, cold callers, ops coordinators, coders. I mean, there's 9 billion people in the world. We can find pretty good people for almost anything. But that's all we do. So yeah, we'd help you if you want.
Upsell. Cool. Thanks.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate, John. Thank you for taking the time and sharing your insight with us.
Cool. Reach out. I'm on Twitter if you guys want to find me. Matzner John.
We'll do.
Cool.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
John. Good stuff.
Thank you. Bye.